Welcome back into GSA. This is WYLDE's production of it, so we're going to give you a beautiful English broadcast. My name is Gibson. I am joined by the one and only Whoopit, the two Irish lads casting the Irish team. And Whoopit, it couldn't get any better than week one, could it?
No, it couldn't. I mean, week one was exactly what you wanted from WYLDE. They really show exactly how good they are. A 7-3 victory against Team NX, and it was on Villa, and they looked near flawless. They had a few moments where you could think they were just getting used to the flow of officials again, but once they got into that flow, they looked near unbeatable. They looked fantastic, and I really have to say, the addition, Corey, Aces, has been fantastic to this team, and I wonder how good week two is going to go for them.
Well, they've got a very different team to come up against this week. They're playing against Valravn, Whoopit, and Valravn are a team that I think could go on to do some good things as well. They're doing things right there, but they're coming up against WYLDE. You know, WYLDE, especially this roster, I believe was it the Sissy State Punks before WYLDE took them over initially. They did very well in GSA last year, and let's have a look at that roster that they're going to be coming up against. Aces, again, you spoke about him already. You spoke about how big of an impact that Corey can have, but Jay held his own very much so in the last map.
Jay and BC, I mean, we perhaps don't give them as much credit as is due. I mean, Corey Aces, you're gonna household names inside the city, but BC and Jay might be on that road as well, because they both had stand-out performances in week one. BZ, an example I can pull from, is when they were defending Kitchen on Villa against Team NX. He just locked it down, played deep inside China, and decided to stop any hope of a push-up pantry. And Jay, moment after moment, round after round, found critical, key picks to open up rounds and really lock and cause some chaos for their opposition. I cannot wait to see how this team develops, and from the jump from week one to week two, have they got better? Have they ironed out some of those flaws? I cannot wait to see what they can do here.
I'm really excited to see. And one thing that I've noticed as well, but is WYLDE, the guys are a big fan of the gamer pose, aren't they? The crossed arms. It seems, you know, I say let's bring in some new poses, but I think we've seen too much of the arms crossed now, haven't we?
I'm pretty certain the photographer wants something pretty uniform for everyone. I'm sure there's a Google Drive out there somewhere with them all striking up the funny poses. We might see, you never know, but those might end up on social posts someday. Oh, nice impression there, Gibby.
Insert reference there. Insert WYLDE reference.
You do know how to do it fantastic, of course, but we do have another roster to look at here, Gibson, so take us through who WYLDE are going to be facing here in week two.
Yeah, so WYLDE are going to be playing against Valravn, and it's another roster with mixed experience. You know, you've got players like Risk, Shiro, Punk, Corrido, Drill. They're names that we do recognize. Some players have done very good things in the past. Some players are just starting to come into their own. For Valravn, this is a chance to pull a massive upset, though it is only game week number 2. But game week 1 showed us how good WYLDE can be. Valravn, on the other hand, I want to see them come in and really try to put WYLDE to the sword, because the better every team in GSA is, the better that these teams are going to perform whenever it comes to CL or EUL, whatever Stage 2 and Stage 3 brings over the course of the year.
Oh yeah, when you play the best teams consistently, it is only going to make you better as a team as a whole. And when we get ready to dive into this matchup, I can't wait to see what map we're on, and I can't wait to see how WYLDE perform. This is going to be, I think, a really key decider if WYLDE can learn from this very few mistakes they made on week 1, and if they can just show that they're willing to become the most dominant team here in this league. And well, we are here on Bank, one of the most interesting maps in all of Rainbow Six Siege, recently re-added into the competitive map pool after a long tenure since the launch. And this is, of course, the chat and vote when this was live, and everyone backing WYLDE. So can they do that proud? Of course, we have hidden ourselves from the results. We do not know what is in store for us, but I can guarantee we will see a Thatcher ban at the bare minimum. One little thing before I throw back to you, Gibson, is Bank. The overall win rates for this map are, as you somewhat imagine, Valravn's actually banned out Finka. I do like that one. WYLDE done that last week. But the win rate here on Bank for the attacking side is 47%. Defense for the 52%. So it is going to lean to the defensive favorite. WYLDE decided to take out that Ying second ban.
Yeah, but it'll be no surprise if we get the 3-3 split. So Finka and Ying are gone, which means that Thatcher will be allowed to deposit his EMP grenades into the vault. Will WYLDE be able to withdraw a win from the site, taking Valravn to the sword inside this map? Look, I've already apologized to Whippet for the amount of puns that I'm going to throw out there. Whippet hates the puns. I love the puns. That's why I think we just about work Whippet. Just about.
Just about. I mean, every few puns, every couple of too many puns, you might push me to my limit. But a Jaeger ban to be our final one, and I've got nothing against the Jaeger ban, actually. I really feel that it's a pretty strong one. These are, what I would say, a little bit more unorthodox bans for the like of Bank. You tend to want to see a Thatcher removed, and a Thatcher tends to force a Kaid out, and a Mira is pretty standard place. And that might be the only really standard place ban we've seen today out of these four, because on that basement, that mirror window is a nightmare to deal with. It makes Red a fortress of the defensive bastion, and taking that away is a very wise choice. But Finka, as I touched on for week one, such a crutch for many teams. I don't mean crutch in a negative sense. I mean a lot of teams put it in the composition because it's a very useful thing to have. You can get that HP back. You've got a Gon 6 in your back pocket, so you're able to clear utility from a distance, as well as 2 grenades to either kill out players, create space, or do any of the 101 things those nades can do, which essentially is just also clear utility.
Yeah, the Gon 6 is it's made such an impact to the attack on Siege as well, and it's another reason why Finka has made the resurgence and why we're starting to see her banned, because the story of Finka is a real rags to riches story. Players, they really didn't like Finka. They hated how her, the Finka boost, how it affected the aim. They hated how it completely drowned out all the audio. But the butterfly effect of Siege, the nerfing of Ashe, the nerfing of the recoil for Zofia has made it an LMG's world. We're just living in it, and because of it, Whippet Finka has now become one of the most deadly operators and one of the biggest bans. We're taking it, though, straight up onto the line into open area. Aces gets the opening kill, but Cloudy set the trap. Jay takes him out, though. It's a 4v3 as they already have sight. Whippet 30 seconds elapsed. Diffuser going down, and just like that, Sam Fisher drops the diffuser onto sight. Gisela drops a couple of shots onto them. It's a 3v1, and WYLDE looked like they're taking a 1-0 lead already.
That is absolutely insane to watch that level of confidence in the very first round here on Back against Valravn and decide, let's not even necessarily rush it, just go aggressive, get in the site, brute force it. It worked out perfectly. And as I mentioned on Villa, they are a team that have confidence in their aggression. They don't play aggressive for the sake of it. They know when to pick their moments, and right there, they picked it to perfection. WYLDE once again, such an exciting style of play. I absolutely love what I'm seeing, and it was only one site, and Valravn's opting to re-up once again, go down to open area. And it's a site that, since the rework, has had a little bit more love, but still a little bit on the side, or a little bit pushed away in terms of overall pick rate. And interesting enough, a full reinforcement inside a small office. Though am I doing that one? No extension in the tellers. A very common sight to see in T1 and T2 play.
Yeah, and Whippet, I just want to point this out. It's open area tellers. Yes, the map has been reworked, but Maestro is in play. This is the site that I think made so many casters fall in love with esports. It's the site that made so many casters make them want to do it. We love what happened here. Hot and cold, that little bit of casting from Kickstar. Oh, Whippet, it still gives me shivers today.
That moment is something that everyone when they pick Maestro on this site has that just playing in the back of their mind. Hot and cold done something here heroic. A mastery of game sense, gunplay, and all-around knowledge. Well, we see that be a factor in this one. Ace is already up on rappel, looks to make an upstairs entry. Not going to be as rapid here from WYLDE, and I think a wise choice. Lightning rarely strikes twice. You don't want to get too overzealous. Corey, though, playing a little bit without... Oh, doesn't matter. Doesn't need information. He finds one headshot, but Anon trades it back. That's going to be a 4 versus 4, but Corey going in a little bit blind there. Perhaps an amendment WYLDE to make. No information, but he finds the win nonetheless. Relies on mechanics. Raw aim alone gets that. BZ now enters. Control upstairs begins to fall for WYLDE, but what can he convert it with? They have that sledge, of course. He lost the buck, unfortunately, but Gisela Hammer can crack away at this floor, open up vertical positions, but no one playing inside towers because, as I mentioned, no extension.
Yeah, it's a strange one, because this is a site, Whippet, that you tend to see both ground floor sites being played with an identical setup, whereas it looks like Valravn, they have decided to actually go old-fashioned and hard defend the site itself. Jay on the swing, spots out that player. He has moved on, and Deluxe, though, he's getting ready to swing. Elevator, actually, no, there's a castle there, so he just falls back into the elevators, hits prone, and maybe can find the Achilles heel of WYLDE. But it's 1 minute and 21 seconds on the clock. 4 versus 4. Jay getting aggressive, pushing on up, but whip it. If he steps in front of that little rotate, he is going to get slammed by Castle.
He has to be so careful right now. He cannot take this risk. But he's not going to have that chance as Cloudy will swing wide and find Jay. Advantage now sits with Valravn, but what can they convert this into? Less than a minute to work with. 3 versus 4. GSA just toying outside that triple wall. Have to force himself all the way in the break room. Volto with an LMG, the 81 in hand. The WYLDE can do so much damage and just play. No, actually, an ACS 12. Oh, once again, 2 weeks in a row we've seen this brought out, but WYLDE last time. But on coming up now, and it's going to be all inside the blue stairs. Everyone going to be caught napping. Valkyrie, MPX, don't tread into that metal detector, but Aces will find one up above. Follow bolts in, but they don't know. Valkyrie still undetected. We'll find one. Trigger display will make it 2, 3 in the round, and just like that, WYLDE, momentum gone. One, and Aces will drop in the Lion's Den. And he won't last too long. Feeding Frenzy happens on site. And that will be the MP5K of OMI closing it out. And Valravn's tie us up 1 round apiece.
And that's why the flank watch is so important. Valk just snuck up blue stairs, completely dismantled that WYLDE attack all by herself. And now that level slides up at 1-1. But whip it. I am the same as you. I was surprised to see the ACS 12 come out on Maestro. I know that I like using it, but you know, the vast majority of people would come to the conclusion that the WYLDE is the much superior weapon. Bullets, LMG meta, everything that you want that has. But maybe it is the fact that you've got the 2x. Maybe it's the fact that it does fire slugs instead of shells, so it actually does give you those one-hit kills on headshots. But that's
everything does. Everything's a one-shot headshot.
Well, not the other shotguns from range.
Oh, okay, that's true.
Or the cav pistol. Cav pistol.
Okay, it is a one-shot DBNO, however. That is like a part of a unique kit. I'm not going to give you that one. I'm not giving you that one, Gibson. But I mean, it's a slow rate of fire. It's the lowest slug damage shotgun in the game. Compare it to like the TCSU, the Boss G. Doesn't really have as much bite behind its bark. However, it's very good at shaping a map, has high destructibility. You can really mold a site to whatever way you want, similar to how Tachanka's LMG tends to work with it. Already, we see Corey up on that window with the Osa. Osa on a window is an interesting one. I don't really feel this is the massive strength of the operator. Of course, Osa's ability is to place that transparent bulletproof shield, which we're seeing now, on the window or any surface, and that's it. That's the utility. That's what she brings, as well as a good kit with smoke grenades in the back pocket as well. But on the window, I don't know if it's the best choice, as Gridlock sent in, and we see some of those track stingers deployed. And I think Corey has 8 in impact. He only has 1 shield left, and clearly the one he's placed has already been destroyed.
Yeah, I agree with you. I've seen a couple of rumblings on Twitter as well. People say they don't like putting them on the windows, and that's why the impact from an on takes Corey out. And another thing that I've just kept an eye on, but they don't seem to have... Well, no, Jay has finally pushed in towards ATM as well. If you're going to play on the windows, you need lobby control because a defender swing can just cause a lot of havoc. BZ, the Amaru, not using the gadget at all. But do you think they're just playing their cards close to their chest and they're going to hit them with the Amaru late into the round and catch them by surprise?
I mean, to do that, you want to have some basic control already established. Amaru doesn't work as a blind entry. It doesn't work without setup. It's like trying to throw a haymaker without nothing, but I've spoken too soon! In goes Amaru, and here kicks off the chaos! The plant goes down, 2 for WYLDE in the opening chaos moments, and now it's going to be a scrap as Aces will lose his life on Skylight. The Vector of player 45 will find it, and now at 36 seconds will be a critical. It's all going to get a little bit scrappy and messy. Volto down to leaving Goya all alone, left on 1 singular point of HP. The Vector very close, very good at brawling in these close range encounters, but it's surely now as everything's locked down. Those track stingers all around the map as well, making it a nightmare as BZ reads it perfectly, finds him through the wall, likely live information or just game sense alone. And that was clearly an audio call, finds the kill. WYLDE find their second round, but I was completely mistaken. WYLDE decided, you know what? Let's just stick it out. Let's send the smoke grenades. Let's send Amaru, and let's see what we can have. And I mean, to not sound too repetitive, that is, I think, the DNA of WYLDE right now. They are not afraid to do something aggressive. They are not afraid to do something just a little bit unorthodox. Alright, we've lost the Yosa. The likely play was to have the Yosa shield there, send them over to the other window, and use the Yosa as live coverage for that plant going down. Didn't work out that way, but they still managed to make that strat work, even with problems along the way. Adaptability and flexibility, and perfect place aggression. That's WYLDE summed up, and I'm loving it so far.
Oh, it's incredible. They're almost playing like the villain or the bad guy or the monster in a horror film, the way they're just tapping around the outside, trying to find that sensitive spot, the weakness in the house. And once they find it, they pile on through and they execute. That gives them the 2-1 lead. But Whippet, you said a 47% attacker win rate. So in reality, while they're just on schedule to get that, they need 3 rounds to kind of live that one up. Valravn, if they can get the 4-2 split, they'll be very happy, especially considering how this one started. We're going down to the basement though, and this is a site that I think that has changed the most with the rework. Because of it now, because of the change in location of those hatches, because of the way they reworked Vault and the way they reworked Elevator, it just provides attackers with more entries into the site. Because in the past, that Elevator drop was so easy to hold. In the past, that that Vault drop when it was in behind reception desk was a lot easier for the defenders to hold from the ground floor. I like the way this rework plays.
Oh yeah, I mean, I was always a fan of Bank. Back when it was in competitive play, it was Latam's playground. It was always a joy to watch teams like NIP and Liquid go and brawl on here inside of the Latam League in that region, and it kind of scared away European teams for a little while, and we saw it, leave the competitive map pool, and now it's in with very small changes again. The hatches and some windows boarded up, and that's essentially all that was needed to make this map completely viable again. And it's had a very decent play rate in all of competitive so far, and teams don't seem to be afraid of it, and I do like it. It's a rework where the overall essence of how the map plays and strategies haven't really changed, but it's been made a little bit more, I think, player-friendly in certain things. As the opening pick goes in favor of WYLDE, Aces will pick that one up, and look the way they're moving through this map, by the way. This is efficient. This is perfect. Not a single wasted step, not a single wasted moment, and WYLDE just being hyper-efficient so far. Already you have the opening pick, and now they're going to work on pressuring server, and that's going to be a wonderful rotation as Volto finds that perfect read on the J. He couldn't convert that aggression, but now under the hatch plays aggressive as that Valkyrie, but Corey will find one more add-on Slain, 4 versus 3, a minute 20 left to work with, and now we lose server control, and this is aggression. This is absolutely perfect, as now they're all poised to get this execution rolling.
Oh, they're getting ready to go. It's a 4v2. There's a minute to play with just over that as Deluxe playing inside Garage. But that execute is coming on and there's no C4 to be thrown into the plant. The spray comes in from Cloudy, but the diffuser is down. Just 30 or so seconds that these defenders need to wipe out 4 attackers. But now it's all down to Cloudy. 1 HP and a dream spots out the leg up on the hatch. But surely it's just going to be a case too far, and it is, as GSA wins that one out as they take a 3-1 lead. And Whippet, you said it before, they're aggressive, they play hard, they play fair, they play fast, but the biggest thing is, once they get the advantage, they never give the defensive side time to regroup and rethink. As soon as they get the opening, they push hard, they push fast, and once again, WYLDE use that to take the round win.
I really want just to highlight one part of that round, and that was when Deluxe tried to push up the hallway, that long hallway, to deny that plant. What happened was, there was an uncooked grenade just dropped down a hatch. And this is one of those aspects of HGs that people don't really talk about. Grenades create space. They give an option, and that's what we saw. That grenade dropped in, it was a white nade, a full timer on that detonation, and for the entire duration, you can't push. You can't risk HP. That might roll into a red nade and get you by proximity. That was perfect. It's one of the small things about Siege that I love. Those very, very small factors. We see a timeout getting called here, I believe, just to get a player connected back into the game. And I mean, of course, you get to see everyone's lovely faces. Aces, Corey, GSA, Jay, all the boys on WYLDE there. And so far, absolutely fantastic performance here on Bank. And aggression is the story so far today.
Oh, aggression. It's the story of both play days so far. Wild have done a very good job of controlled aggression too. You know, it's not, oh my, look, Aces is loving life. He is bopping, he is dancing, he is having the time of his life, and he's never felt this way before as they have a 3-1 lead. As we jump back into our desk, yes, we're not in a beautiful studio like those two fantastic guys where we're in our bedrooms, and you know, we're both being in Ireland, but Whippet, I tried to go to his house to record this, but he kicked me out. Yeah, he kicked me back. He kicked me out. He wouldn't let me.
You were throwing rocks at my window at 6 a.m. this morning, and I was not having it. I wanted to be nice and fresh to get this all recorded. But this is a very kind of, I want to kind of draw back to actually what you're talking about there when we saw Ace's face in that camera. Bopping away, having a wonderful time. When a team is having fun, you can tell they're going to have a good outing. It's all about the vibes, positive energy. Siege is so momentum-based. It's not like other competitive FPS games where you have 30 rounds, 25 rounds. You have 12. 12 inside of regulation. Everything counts so much. So you need to have good vibes, good energy, and be able to play off this. And we don't have to waffle too much longer. We have our game ready to dive straight back into. And can Wild continue that one after our rehost?
Oh, I'm interested to see what happens. You can see that live ranking up at the top of your screen too. They currently sit in top place in GSA. But yeah, you're 100% right. The reason gaming was invented, the reason that everybody does this is to have fun. First and foremost, you gotta have fun. TSM, they had so much fun in SI. That's why they got the win. The fun factor that we've seen from Damwon Kia as well. It's the thing that gets fans on their feet. It's the things that get people to back teams is when the players are having a good time, the viewers are having a good time, the fans are having a good time, so are the casters. And yes, this is a competitive environment, but you can never forget what the main objective of gaming is.
I mean, the main objective of gaming is, of course, to have fun and enjoy it, but the big thing in a competitive team environment is, I've got some small experience in the back room, the coaching staff, is when there's good vibes in a team and a squad, everyone seems to sync up on that same wavelength and understand what's going on. There's no flaming, there's no annoyance if a strategy doesn't go the way it was intended to work. Everyone just kind of works with it, flows with it, and you see that with Wild. They're not rigid, they're flexible, and it's honestly a joy to watch so far. This team absolutely proving all the expectations so far, and you touched on, look at those live rankings. As it stands right now, the result, or if Wild take the victory in regulation, they cement themselves even further at that top spot, and Corey using that Gone 6 we've talked so much about, will clear that castle barrier, and is just trying to toy with peeking and finding that opening, but no one's yet presenting that opportunity.
Yeah, do you know why it's called the Gone Whippet? Because you shoot it at utility and it's gone.
That's, I mean, that's revolutionary naming, Gibson. Revolutionary stuff from you.
You know me. I'm a man of many words and very little context. As Gisela pushes up through marble stairs, and he's got a player looking right at him. Valk just says hello, good night, but it's going to get traded out straight away because the push is coming hard through marble. Jay peeked his head up, got the instant refrag, traded his mate back out, and it's back to a 4 versus 4. 2 minutes on the clock, and you get the feeling that this is a vital round for Valravn. If they don't win this one, if Wild take a 4-1 lead, that mental, that prized possession of every single player could be about to get cracked.
They thought about sending Amaru up in a small office there. Cloudy was aware of it. I believe Amaru's got physically spotted by someone or identified. I believe in the reveal phase during the operator selection screen, Amaru was seen, and they're very cautious of that ascent up the hatch. And it's not something you see a lot of, but we saw on the execution when they're attacking upstairs. Amaru can be an absolute nightmare in those kind of moments of chaos where comms might get clustered. Minute 20 left to go, if the round has slowed down quite a bit, but Wild seemingly just picking their moment. No hard breach available, so they are really going to be forced and pressured into just walking through these double doors. It's going to be a show of mechanical skill now. It's all going to line up and kick off now with just a minute left in this round.
Minute left on the round. Wild getting ready for that push, but the defense is completely turtled on the site. That Goyo just stalling out the attack for a little bit. Those flames licking at the feet of Jay, and if he steps onto them, he will find himself down and out. 40 seconds to go. This is still an eternity in the side of Siege, but Deluxe manages to get one. Volto with the ACS 12 gets another. It's a 4v2. It's a 4v1. It's a 4v none as Valravn Esports take the win and whip it. I get the feeling that could be a vitally important round for their mental.
It is. That is critical for the mentality of Valravns. But one thing I really want to discuss is WYLDE had one plan that round. That one plan was to get 1 or 2 picks, pushing up Marble Stairs, and then to send an Amari win to cause chaos on site and capitalize and push in from that. They had no hard breach, they had no alternative, and that's the first time I've seen them not be able to work, not be able to adapt the plan out as they would have intended it to be. You gotta just, I think, bring a little bit more of a contingency plan. While I like the fact that they're committing to perhaps unorthodox strategies, commit to something that isn't exactly how you would imagine default, but I don't know. You have to have an alternative. You have to think of something. And a 6-pick here away from the Buck to that Osa and from the Dokkaebi onto that Yana. I mean, this is a site where I really think Osa has a massive strength because everyone knows about the classic plant. You're going to reverse on in through that wall that we see on reversing or reinforcing, and you're going to get that plant down. With an Osa shield there, you have extra cover. You're just going to worry about any C4 soaring through the sky as Corey's actually decided to go away from Osa and bring that Habana. Maverick as well from Jay instead of the Ashen. This is a far better, I think, a far more well-rounded operator lineup from the side of WYLDE.
Yeah, and it really points out to the fact they're trying to take ground floor control and open up those hatches. That's the only reason why you take a Habana on the side. It's the only reason why you take a Maverick. And as the round starts, a lot of those attackers do spawn over by jewelry, but they're moving themselves around. Corey putting a little pressure onto open area early days. Aces pushing up onto the top floor as well, as they're just going to clear their way down through the building and whip it. The reason, in my opinion, why Valravn did so well the last round was the Goyo too. The Goyo, we spoke about not giving the attacking side the opportunity to, push on in and give the defenders the chance to regroup after a loss. Well, the Goyo did that. The Flames just stopped the push and it allowed the defenders to get into position to just hold out that attack.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Those Flames last for 15 seconds right now? It is insane. Those hot pockets just sit and burn and burn and burn and burn a little bit more, and it makes that push very difficult to pull off. And I think that was a very wise choice from Valravn to have that set up. They were very well kind of clued in and ready to use that utility to their full advantage of it. And just cautious of a drone dropping down that, or is that even a drone hole? What am I looking at there?
It's what am I? So we don't know, but the hatches, they are now open. Deluxe ready to flank. He's standing on Marble Stairs, waiting for one of those attackers to just serve himself up to him. And there you have it. BZ will be the first morsel to be picked up. But Aces bites back hard. It's a 4v4 again. And we find ourselves in a very similar situation to the last round. Anon playing inside Garage. And this is something interesting enough with what we've seen the last time we came to basement 2. They're very keen on keeping one of those defenders playing on that entrance into parking garage and holding that angle towards server from there.
Holding that angle is a very kind of important position to have. I mean, this is a rotation getting called right now. They decided that blue, that's not happening for us, boys. Let's go for a little bit of a... Let's go somewhere else. Let's open up this vault hatch and see what we can get working. But Cloudy's in a fantastic position to try and deny this. If you drop down, you're going to be met by that P10 Roni with only 16 rounds in a mag. 2 bodies dropping. Might just overwhelm that SMG. Tries to recover that smoke canister, but opting it might just be too risky. Using the visual cover to push on in and that smoke immunity. But 25 seconds left, and WYLDE have no option to push and get aggressive. They drop Vault. We see that on the distance. Corey will find 1 from the hatch. Looks to make it 2, but he's going to get battled with, and that's going to be Volta finds that. Aces go is going to find a second in the round. It's going to be an absolute flurry. Make it 3 for Aces. He's going to go on a rampage of WYLDE deep inside of sight. Volta let alone the scrap and brawl. He'll get 1 Aces off the cards, but his bomb will go down. Agisa will shut it down. WYLDE win yet another round, and what looked near unwinnable. They're on unmatched aggression is what solves the problem for them. A little bit of a brute force solution, but it worked out in the end. And Aces, a pivotal part of that one, finding 3 alone. And 4-2 is now our score.
That round looked to me like it was going to be won by Valravn, but Aces had the key, and he managed to pull that one out. WYLDE, they are going to withdraw from the attack with 4 rounds, and now they push on to defense. And let's see what sort of security they're going to hold at Bank Whippet. And, you know, I've been waiting all day to use this pun, but did you know that if you like Bank as a map, you are not alone?
Gibson, I checked my notes for 2 seconds, and I hear that. Okay.
Come on, it's
side swap.
It's 1 pun. It's 1 pun in 6 rounds. You gotta let me away with it.
No, still not allowing it. Not if I hear a single pun at Charlotte, I will be very, very annoyed. So, WYLDE on the side swap, they lead 4-2. 2-round advantage for them. We've seen their aggression on the offensive side. Can they convert that aggression on the defensive side, or do Valravns have an answer for it? They do have a pretty strong lineup, I will say, and a little bit more default than what we saw WYLDE. No Amaru, they're going to opt for pretty standard. Same site rotation though, WYLDE opting to go to open area first off.
Yeah, the open area fest, you know, it's always nice getting involved in a new region as well, up at seeing how they play the different sites, and this is something that I'll be keeping a key eye on. Let's see if there's any major differences. Once again, they're extending that site all the way through to main lobby as they try to just force the traffic the way that they want. Deluxe pushing in, and Bank is a site, particularly an SI Whippet, where we saw Zero really come into his own.
Oh, Zero is, I think, one of the operators that gets slept on so much. So much information. You have the Gone 6 and a hard breach utility in your back pocket, meaning that he's essentially one of those perfect support roles. You know, and NA loves it. NA teams like SSG and OXG love using Zero because show a camera. That's your flank covered if someone's actively watching it. Yo, you've lost your hard breach. Well, we've got contingency. We've got 2 can openers in your back pocket and a Gone 6. That little bit of utility clear. A very well-rounded operator, and I think one that lots of teams just haven't utilized to the max ability yet.
Definitely not. And not only that, but if there's a mute jammer there because of the rework, you can shoot that camera high up on the wall and get rid of the mute jammer yourself. He's a one-man army on support. And I'm interested to see how Deluxe is going to use him. 1:22 left on the round, though, and slow but sure progress being made across the map. Anon opening up a lot of those vertical angles, but needs to use some of those nades. Maybe try catch out those defenders, blow them away. Volto doing some drone work as well. WYLDE are completely turtled Whippet, and they're probably just thinking to themselves, when is this push going to come? You know, they're sitting there waiting, and it's just a matter of time.
I mean, they don't need to push out right now, however. They have this escape route. Jay's hovering over it. So, let's say a lot of pressure arrives. He can drop this hatch and work a flank from blue or marble stairs. And there's lots of options right now. And no real set flank denial. They can watch the flanks, but right now they've got nothing to stop it. And Cloud's perhaps looking for footprints or holding a pixel. Sees one of them cross his screen, but not got the reaction time to stop it. 30 seconds left. And, well, here's the intention. You're going to try and brute force this wall and maybe even smoke or plant in that smoke because it's already burning away. The exothermic's going to get placed and they might try that, but they've created themselves a one-way. Beezy's got the 81 primed and ready and he's going to be able to lock this down. No chance of heroics and he might just get aggressive upon it. They've impact checked it, however, and that will burn some time. It's all down to gunplay now. It's going to be a flurry of kills for WYLDE. BZ and Aces getting the action. 8 seconds left and that's going to be J1 of his own as well. They fire back, but it's all down to one player alone outside of Marble. And that's going to come down to a very, very explosive gunfire finish here for WYLDE. And they didn't need to get aggressive. They played the time perfectly.
Yeah.
And that was utility masterclass. The impact trick on that exothermic meant, well, with 8 seconds left to go, with no way in, bar that double door on break room, we've got a funnel in. Now, WYLDE, well, they were waiting for that one. Perfect timing, perfection from Wild once again, and they lead 5-2.
Oh, the just impact trick in a game. We see it time and time again on other maps, particularly in Clubhouse, but it's nice to see it happening here on Bank as well. And but once again, the ACS-12, the weapon of choice on Maestro. Are we beginning to see the dawn of a new era of competitive Siege? We saw the LMG meta coming in recently. Are GSA introducing the ACS-12 to the world? I know that there's a lot of purists out there that will never use it, but it's been effective. It's been incredibly effective so far tonight.
It has been. It's been fantastic so far. I mean, this has been a wonderful matchup right now, and what we're seeing is, I wouldn't quite say a clinic from Wild on how to play Bank, because they haven't played, I think, the most perfect Siege, but they've played the best Siege in the moment. They've been very situationally aware, and they're playing in that adaptive sense very, very well. It's not been a strategic masterclass, it's been a performance masterclass, and I really hope they can kick this up. And that's not a criticism, that's just a difference, as Aces will find a very early pick as Volto gets that trade, and that's not going to be the ideal start. You do lose those Wamai pancakes, those discs, those miners that Aces can throw out through the round, of course, Wamai generates over time. So you're going to have a little bit less reinforcement on the site, less ADS, or less catchables, I should say.
Yeah, and I'm really impressed with how both sides have been able to instantly refrag the open and pick every single time. There's been one or two rounds where it hasn't happened, but for the majority, anytime we see somebody get the open and pick, it gets traded out instantly, which shows great teamwork. We play with a couple of people who are very much under the mindset that is particularly on defense whip it. You want to be within 3-4 seconds of everybody. You want to be in that situation where if the attack does come, you can get yourself in a position to get those refrags. Both teams doing it really well as we move in to the halfway point of round 8. Wild on 5-2. They're about to attempt to move on to match point. But they've been in this situation before. They were 6-3 up in the last map, and they're looking to go 6-2 up this time around. Anon spots out the head, but he misses it by an inch.
Unfortunate, that one. I don't think he was going to really stay in contested, just sending some shot for good measure. And I mean, that's one of the things that you see a lot of players do into the Rainbow Six Siege. They'll just kind of know there's a power position. I'm going to cross it. I have to be near this area. I'm going to send a shot there. If there's someone there, I get the kill. That's great. That's fantastic. If I don't do it, but I see ahead, there's information. So nothing really lost from that one. The hatch is reinforced with the elevator. Abono will be able to clear those away, open them up, and give themselves an avenue of entry. Lots of positions, lots of potential right now as Deluxe tries to fight deep inside of Garage. Uses that Dokkaebi call, but this is not an easy fight. Smokes off one way, smokes off another. Likely just to fall back, and interesting use of utility to say the least, and is going to fall back. Goes the mortgage, and I mean, with 40 seconds to go, this is a complete rotation. This is a complete push in the vault, and can Wild read it? Can they react? 30 seconds, and Chaos is moments away.
Chaos is a ladder. 30 seconds for Valravn to pull their way back in. Smoke's going to start throwing out those toxic bays to hold the fort. 20 seconds now on the clock. Deluxe will be the first one of those remaining attackers to fall. But the res is being pulled. It's very important to get Deluxe back on his feet. 10 seconds left. We've seen the 20-second meta. Here comes the 10-second meta as a non-player. Get one each, but Wild is going to pull back. It's a 1 versus 3. Diffuser is being planted, and it is all down to Gisela. It ain't going to happen as Valravn win the round and whip it. We've seen this storyline before. We've seen the 5-3. We've seen the 6-3. Wild, they're not going to be too worried about what just happened. But for Valravn, they're going to be, bumping fists. They're going to be pretty happy with getting that round because that was a big one.
That was a massive bounce back for them. This keeps the hopes of 3 points alive for them. Again, mentioned in week 1, 3-2-1 scoring system in place. So as Moment Wild get themselves to match point, they lock in a bare minimum of 1 point for themselves. Valravn just need to keep pushing. They want to keep that dream of 3 points alive, and that round really helps them do it. Now, can they find success 2 rounds in a row? That's the real question. And what will Wild do differently? The big thing is probably not lose Aces. He might try and get as aggressive, but play with a trade body to try and find success in that sense, if that's what they opt for. But I think Wild overall, good architecture of the setup, good kind of overall plan. I think just getting an untraded opening like that, losing aces, was kind of critical, and that was, I think, the ultimate unraveling of that round.
It was, and it was the it was the 10-second meta. I've never seen it before, but it worked out as Valravn got the win. But one thing I want to point out as well is the idea of momentum in Siege. Momentum, it really has an impact. When you start putting rounds and rounds together, it starts affecting the mental of the other team. It seems like everything is going against you. Every shot that you hit, you shoot, lands. So when a team like Valravn, when they can break that momentum, it is a massive, massive deal. Suddenly, all the pressure falls off. Suddenly, those teams, those members of WYLDE who found themselves in a situation where they were winning every single one they got into, where everything just worked, they're going to start, maybe, depending on what the team's feeling like, they may start second-guessing themselves. But for Valravn, all that weight that was on their shoulders has just been lifted off.
It has. I would say, for a little while at least, I think they're going to start feeling pressure again. WYLDE, I don't see WYLDE not getting another round, if you know what I mean? They're so dangerous, they're so effective in these situations. It's just Valravn, can you keep them at arm's length? Can you really just kind of take the bite out of WYLDE for the time being? And maybe a slower style of play might be the way to do it. A very smart rotation that they called to push deep inside a vault when they saw that blue pressure wasn't working, and somewhat of an adjustment mid-round happening to the overall setup, as it looks like Valravn is going to open up every single hatch, give themselves every avenue, every option, and that might just disrupt WYLDE a little bit. Not knowing where this push is coming from can be a very big detriment, as information is more than half the battle in Siege.
Information, it's the 6th operator. You could argue that there's 7 operators in a game of Siege. Information is the 6th for each team, and time is the 7th, and he is the floater. He is the one that spends the first half, or the first, 2/3 of a round playing for the attack. But once you move on to defense, he switches allegiances. Time waits for no man, and if you don't move quickly, he decides he wants to play for the other team because he is a winner. Whip it. 50 seconds left already, and this time is going against the members of Valravn. But look at that, the Achilles heel of BZ has been hit. He is now down. Deluxe throws a Thatcher as well to get rid of some of that utility. But once again, Valravn in a great position for a late execute.
And a late rotation now inside of Garage. This might be huge if they're not caught, if they're going to get caught napping. 25 seconds. Advantage Valravn's, and that's going to grow even more. Player 45 will find one of the Corey, and now it's all down to try and recover control. GSA gets aggressive, finds one on the Cloudy. Hasn't got the confirmation yet. We'll find some of the SMG-12. It's going to be a brawl now with 10 seconds left to go. And Maverick has to vault deep inside of red. He's going to have to get aggressive, look for more. Volta will get one of the aces, and everyone for WYLDE now falling back, but no plant going down. Now gonna have to try it, Volto, but Gisa now upstairs, drops on in, but surely can't deny it. He's gonna be able to find one of the SMG-12. Plant goes down, however, and with 42 seconds we get critical, has to brawl away. A nasty angle around this door frame and can't find it. Pistol handed Deluxe, and that will get Gisela. And hello, Ravens, find one more round against WYLDE, and now you gotta question, is the momentum now beginning to shift in this matchup?
I see you, Valravn. I see what you're doing. 4 rounds on the board. Now it's 5-4 lead to WYLDE and Whoop It. You said that this is a map that gets edging closer and closer to being attack favored. Well, that is 2 on the bounce for Valravn. If they can win a 3rd round on the trot, suddenly WYLDE are going to start questioning themselves. But it's a situation but we've seen time and time again. If WYLDE go ahead and win this next round, it's normal service resumed and they're on the match point.
Will they get there, though? So this is the thing, right? I love in Siege, momentum tends to shift and change and really affect teams. We saw earlier, WYLDE were vibing. They were bopping, they were having a good time. 2 rounds lost on the trot like that one might have a little bit of an effect on that one. Now let's hope that Resolve is rock solid and they can hold this one out. Addition of an Echo to the roster this time of operator lineup, and that's going to be BZ. It's not an op that we see as much as Echo used to be prevalent, but still, those Yokai drones, those last second plant denials as they send out that sonic blast of air pressure that removes you from any utility that you're placing and stuns you very aggressively, should be a big factor. But I mean, it's a lot of downtime for an operator, and it looks like Valravn have learned from what WYLDE done, and they're playing a little bit more aggressive now.
Oh, and an auto straight into sight and behind the desk, but no diffuser looking for those opening picks, but all the control taken already. But no support means that Jay can take out Amari and whip it. I feel like that is an opportunity lost because Amari was deep in sight, but Cloudy just couldn't provide the cover.
No cover, that's the bane of it. This is what we saw WYLDE attempting, a very similar thing, but they had plans to put the cover in place, and when you don't have cover, that's what you have. Adam went very, very deep inside of sight and had, well, no cover, no one to help them, no Overlord to watch over, and that was, unfortunately, led to demise. It is going to be a 4 versus 4, and GSA is on a long rotate,
no.
but might be able to find it and does. Wonderful information. And I wonder, that yellow ping, that has to be the default camera. They didn't shoot the spawn camera. Valravn's simple mistakes costing you players, and now, yeah, there it is. Oh, you can see that reaction. They aren't too happy from that camera being left up. That is the very first thing on every team's checklist, and they've missed it, and they've lost a player for it. Not ideal. You lose your Yana, you lose Nade, you lose that infinite information on those Gemini replicators. Minute 30 left to go. Advantage WYLDE.
Yeah, and I'm seeing more red pings and yellow pings as well. They know exactly where this attack is coming from, and maybe they've just let something slip. Valravn, there's no Val Whip, but it's just Echo and the default cams, and they're getting all the information they could possibly want. 1 minute and 11 seconds, though. We've seen Valravn come to life in the late game, but they've got a 4 versus 3 to deal with. Volto pushing in towards Janitor, gets rid of that Melusi, but that's intel, that's even more information. But Jay looks the wrong way, and Volto, they get the kill. Cloudy takes them out. It's a 3v3, and Cloudy finds himself deep in sight again, but no diffuser to be found. Aces downtown, down floor, but down the stairs. But GSA takes out Cloudy. Another opportunity to get some pressure on the site lost. GSA gets the triple, and now it's all down to Deluxe. He is going to peek around the corner, back into Janitor. No diffuser at the ready, but with 25 seconds left, can he find the kill? No, he can't. Aces gets it. And just like that, it is now match point for WYLDE. But that was a scrappy round, and there was multiple opportunities for Valravn to capitalize.
Valravn had 2 opportunities to walk in the side, essentially. And, I mean, the opening push with the Amaru is questionable, to say the very, very least. We saw WYLDE do something similar, but they had, a system in place for coverage. They had smokes there for Amari to try and get that plant off as they dropped in from the window ledge. They had, at least initially, tried and intended to cover with an Osa shield on the window. Valravn's had nothing. They just relied on go in, find picks, find some chaos, and it didn't work out at all. And WYLDE kind of just, it was scrappy, but they didn't really look panicked or flustered. And once again, that's experience. That's just confidence. Valravn's had no answer to it. And now, WYLDE sit on match point. They've guaranteed themselves at bare minimum at least 1 point. And Valravn's just try and claw themselves back to overtime.
Yeah, WYLDE have been absolutely fantastic. For Valravn, even if they don't go ahead to win this game, there's lots of positives to take. One of the things, Whippet, that I think is the hardest thing to do for a team is to find out the reason, to work out why exactly you lost. I think for Valravn, this is going to be a good one because in reality, it's little mistakes that are easily identifiable for them. Not shooting default cams, not delaying the attack a little bit. These are things that can be worked on, and Valravn can definitely learn from this game regardless of what the result is, and hopefully they can mount an assault on the leaderboard over the next few weeks as well. Because Whippet, you and I, we don't hold a bias. We don't, yes, we're casters. There's teams that we do like, but we want every team to do well.
Gibson, we do hold a bias. We have a little bit. I was a little bit in there. Just wants WYLDE to do well. I really want to see this team do well. I've watched WYLDE since they entered the UK scene, and I've seen basically every iteration of their roster play, and I've always kind of wished them on and hoped. I've had friends in their coaching staff, friends on their team, and it's I mean, never really fully clicked with them. They've never found, I think, the success they always had the potential for. And this roster right now, 2 weeks in a row, just looks to be playing a superb level of Siege. And no one's found a direct answer for them. 6-4 the scoreline. And Valravn, you got to consider now that they know that 3 points is off the cards. How's that going to sit and affect them? As Aces is on the Rook. Not a very common sight, but give this man a 2x. And I don't imagine anyone's going to want to take a long fight with him.
Definitely not. We've seen what he's been able to do. He's going 6-5 as things stand since the rehost. Of course, one of the players didn't load in earlier. But I agree, yes, we do want to see WYLDE do well. But for the most part, we like to see every single team perform to the best of their ability. One good thing I can say about WYLDE is I've spoken to a couple of the ex-UKIN players. I haven't had the opportunity to speak to the GSA players just yet, but every single player that has left that org has got really good things to say about them, the support that they've provided the players. And that's the thing. If you get the right roster together and you give them the right support with it, magic things happen. Speaking of magic things, WYLDE is pushing through that breach. Anon gets Corey down. Jay has been knocked as well. And now the opportunity, 2 members of WYLDE are down. So in reality, this is a 5v2, but GSA pulls one back. Oryx on the move, not able to rotate through the hatches as they're fully bunkered down. Deluxe dumping utility to come through the metal detector position given away.
Oh.
Aces takes the head away and the momentum. It's a 3 versus 2. Jay down, but not out. Aces look at the double down. Let's go, Aces.
Oh, he's going to go on a rampage here. Aces finds 3. He's going to look for one more. It's going to be a quad and a clutch, and it's a 1 versus 1. He's got all the information. He knows what to do. Sends an impact. That will find a heap of damage. The information still there and live. No more impacts, but he finds the head. Aces, quad, clutch, and that will be GG WYLDE. Takes the time, savors the moment. And he will tap away. Don't go for the revive. You can't get it for the glory. But WYLDE are your winners. Aces, heroics at the end. And a quad kill, and I think rightfully, is our MVP of the game. Aces always in the kill feed, always making impact. And when the team needed it, when WYLDE needed someone to stand to the plate and take every fight and win every fight presented, he was the one. MVP of the matchup and fully deserved victory for WYLDE.
4-0 on the entry, +7 on the KD, going 15-8, but whip it. When you look at that WYLDE performance, the first play day, it was the Jay and Corey show. Look at it, it switched around. It was the Aces and GSA show today. WYLDE showing that every single player can pop off and have a big one. I'll give a lot of credit to those members of Valravn, though they had a very good game as well. Look, it can be tough. Anon went 4-1 on entry as well, so he was doing his job. It's just sometimes when you're playing against a team like WYLDE and they're feeling it, it's just an impossible task.
Yeah, when a team's a good energy, good vibes, high spirits, it is going to be a difficult thing. But that won 11 rounds. That is pretty close to the narrowest victory margin you can have inside of a regulation matchup. Of course, 7-5 is the closest you can get, of course, within 12 rounds to win in regulation. 7-4, Valravn had a very, very good performance, but WYLDE, once again, their style of play is such a joy to watch. Their adaptability, their flexibility is fantastic. The only big one criticism I actually do have, and not even the biggest one, is sometimes they don't give themselves a contingency plan. That one round where they opted to try and attack that open area, and they wanted to send an Amaru up the hatch in small office, didn't work out the way they wanted, because when that plan fell through, they didn't have hard bridge. They had them funnel in through doorways, and we just saw Aces, when given the opportunity to, as people funnel in that doorway, it is pretty free pickings, and Aces done a good job of that one. Of course, a quad clutch at the end to get the victory for WYLDE, and a wonderful performance from them.
Yeah, a little bit of mysticism from you, but at the start of the round, you said Rook's not a pick that you expect to see, but if you give Aces a 2x, nobody is safe. He got the quad kill. He one-man armied that last round. It was a post-plant situation. It was a 1v1, but whip it. Round before that, it was all about intel. The soft pings, the yellow pings, the red pings. That's what gave away the Valravn attack in the post-plant situation. Even though you have the gun that hits harder, even though time is on your side, if you give a competitive Siege player, a player who's played at the highest level, intel, then they're going to win that fight.
Oh, information is absolutely king. And when you have it, it's a joy to watch it. Aces in that final play, for example, had red pinks galore, and when you see those red pinks popping up, he knows exactly what to do, what to expect. There's comms getting given into his ear as well. That's a winnable round. That's a round that you're not going to expect to see someone lose unless there's a miracle shot from the receiving end of that ball, from that planter. But information, Wild played it perfectly. They always had a good idea, a good grasp of what the push was, what threats they were facing, and that's a hallmark of a very, very strong team. A few moments where that fell apart, and of course where they weren't able to read the rotate, that mass kind of exodus to push in those vault hatches that got Valravns around. However, those are kind of small exceptions, and you're not going to be able to win every round in Siege. Opposition are always going to get at least 1 or 2 against you, and Wild, when they were on form, when they were absolutely fantastic, when they were winning rounds, they were winning them by great margins, and I think this team has such a high ceiling. They can only go up from here.
They can. They've done what they needed to do. They're 2-0. They've got 6 points on the tally. Whip it as things stand. It's been a pretty much flawless start to GSA for Wild, but there's going to be some tough battles ahead. And guess what? You're going to be able to join Whip it and I as we cast you and take you through every single one of Wild's game in GSA this year. We hope that you enjoyed today's broadcast. We hope that it was okay for everyone at home. Whip it. Any final words before we sign off?
Well, of course, thank you, of course, everyone at WYLDE getting us this opportunity to get to the English broadcast for their games. I do love to see it. And again, as an orc that I've followed for a very long time, it's a privilege to be here. It's a privilege to watch this team, and I cannot wait to see what they can do. And I have a feeling great things are just over the horizon for WYLDE.
Great things indeed. We'll see you all next time.